this technical assistance video will focus on completing the risk management systems portion of the FTCA application. We'll begin here on the main application page. You can see that the application is broken down by sections here, as well as text stating whether the application has not yet been started, whether it's in progress, or if it's complete, there would be green letters here stating that it's complete. All sections of the application must be complete in order to submit the application. So in order to complete the section of the application on risk management systems, look for the section on risk management systems and click on Update. Now before you begin completing the risk management systems portion of the application, make sure that you have your policies with you on diagnostic test tracking, on patient referral tracking, and on hospitalization tracking, because you're going to need to attach those to the application. In addition, you should also review HRSA's most recent Program Assistance Letter on calendar year 2013 FTCA requirements, which is Program Assistance Letter 2012-02 and is available on the HRSA FTCA website. So we're here on the application page. Now this part of the application is pretty straightforward. For most questions, you have the option whether to click yes or no. If you do conduct the practice that's being addressed in the question, you would use your mouse to click yes. If you do not conduct that practice or have that particular policy in place, you would use your mouse to click no. So for example, the first question asks whether your organization conducts periodic assessments to identify, prevent, and monitor malpractice risk. If you do conduct this practice, click on yes. If you do not, click no. Now if you answer no to a question, you will need to type in an explanation for why you do not have that particular policy or practice in place. The application includes these comment sections here, where you have an opportunity to type in free text to explain why you gave a particular response. You do not need to fill in the comment section for any questions you answer yes to. However, the comment section is still available if you enter yes, and you can enter comments if you would like to. So for this first question, say for example you do not conduct assessments to identify, prevent, and monitor malpractice risk, but you are in the process of implementing this practice, you would need to click no, since they are not currently in place. In the comment section, you can enter in an explanation here. Now you have a maximum of 4,000 characters that you can use when typing into these text boxes. Now this will update here, so this will let you know how many characters that you have remaining in this message here at the top of the text box. In addition, you'll want to make sure that you do not copy and paste from any heavily formatted documents. If you do need to copy and paste from another document, double check when you finish completing this section of the application to make sure that all information has been entered and that there are no formatting issues. So although you have this opportunity to explain any no responses, I should note that for the purposes of FTCA deeming, you will want to be able to answer yes to every question. If you're looking at the application questions and you realize that you don't have a particular policy or practice in place, you can view the supplementary training videos we have available, such as risk management systems, supplemental information, and ECRI Institute resources that provide risk management recommendations and point you to sample policies or other resources that can help. These supplementary videos are available along with this video on both the ECRI Institute Clinical Risk Management website and the HRSA FTCA website. So we'll move on. And question 2 is the only question in this section of the application that is not a yes or no response. For this question, you will need to type in free text the policies and procedures you have in place regarding the appropriate supervision of clinical and non-clinical staff. So we're just going to type in to enter your procedures here. So again, the message here will update to let you know how many characters you have remaining. You want to check to make sure the formatting is correct, and then we can move on to question 3. Question 3 consists of multiple questions. You will need to enter yes or no regarding whether your medical records policies address privacy, such as compliance with HIPAA privacy and security regulations, completeness of medical record documents, and archiving procedures. You need to answer each one of these questions, and again, enter an explanation for any no answers. So we're going to click on yes for each of these questions. We'll move on to question 3, part B, which asks, medical records are periodically reviewed to determine quality, completeness, and legibility. I'm going to click on yes. Move on to question 4. So we'll click on yes to verify that we have policies and procedures that address triage, walk-in patients, telephone triage, and no-show appointments. Move on to question 5. Question 5 asks whether there are clinical protocols that define appropriate treatment for diagnostic procedures for selected medical conditions. Now, before we complete this question in the application, I'm going to click down to the bottom of the application page and click on Save. Now you'll notice after I clicked on Save that we have these red error messages here. Now these error messages appear when we haven't completed all of the questions of the application. So a good way to double check to make sure that you complete all questions in the application is to click on Save and then look to see if you have any of these red error messages here. Now you can click on the actual error and it will take you right to that section of the application where the error appears. So this is simply because we did not answer that question of the application, so we'll click on yes to answer the question and move on to question 6. Now for question 6, in addition to clicking on yes or no for whether you have these tracking systems, you're also going to need to attach your policies for referral tracking, hospitalization tracking, and diagnostic tracking. Now for previous applications, you needed to attach 4 separate policies here. You needed to attach one for referral tracking, hospitalization tracking, and you also needed to attach separate policies for x-ray tracking and lab tracking. For the calendar year 2013 application, you'll notice that x-ray tracking and lab result tracking have been combined into one section for diagnostic tracking. So you'll only need to attach 3 separate policies for this question in the application for the 2013 calendar year application. So we're going to click on yes to verify that we have these policies in place. Now for the second part, we're going to click on Attach to attach the policies. Now this takes us to a separate page. The types of documents that are supported by this application are listed here under Documents. Now to attach our policies, we're going to click Browse. We'll find the document on our computer. Now for these policies, you want to make sure that the name of the document matches the policy. So this document is titled Diagnostic Test Tracking Policy. It's a clear title to let the reviewer know what this policy is covering. So you'll also need to note in this description section here, you'll want to provide a description of your policy. So type in a description here. So now we're going to click on Attach Document to attach that policy. You'll notice that you'll get this green message stating that the attachment was saved successfully, and it will appear here at the bottom of the page under Attached Documents. Now to attach our second policy, click on Browse. We've already attached our policy on test tracking, so now we're going to locate our next policy on our computer, which is Hospitalization Tracking Policy. Again, make sure your policy document has a clear title. Enter in a description here, then click Attach Document. Again, we have the message that it was saved successfully, and it appears here under Attached Documents. Now for the third policy, it's more of the same. Click Attach Document. Oh, I'm sorry, click on Browse. Now you notice we got that error message because we clicked Attach Document before we clicked on Browse. So again, a good way to double check, or the application has these error messages built in to make sure that you're entering in the appropriate information. So click on our third policy for patient referral tracking. Again, enter a description here. Now in these description sections, You can also refer to page numbers here if there are specific sections of the policy that you'd like the reviewer to look at. So now we'll click on Attach Document. So now all three policies are attached. You should look down here under Attached Documents, make sure they all appear here. And now since we're finished, we'll click on Finished Attaching. Now we're back on the main application page. Now since we've completed the application, here on the right hand corner under Status it says Complete. There are no error messages here letting us know that we need to go back to any questions. So we'll scroll down to the bottom of the page. Now if we were to click on Save and Continue, that would take us right to the next section of the application, which in this case is Quality Improvement. We're going to click on Save to save the document and remain on this page. Now over here on the left navigation bar, say we didn't want to save and continue and go right to the next section on quality improvement, we can click on the actual section that we want to go to here. So say we want to move right to credentialing systems, you can click on this link for credentialing systems and it'll take you right to that section of the application. If we want to go back to the main application page, click on Status. Now we're back on the main application page, and as you'll notice, under Risk Management Systems, it now says Complete. If the application was not complete, it would still state In Progress here, and we would need to go back and make sure that it's completed. Again, all sections of the application must be completed in order to submit the application to HRSA.